You may be asking, Panda, what game are we going to be talking about today? Well, little Timmy, today we are going to be talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the video game, based off the license of the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre film all the way back from 1982. You may be asking, Panda, this is another horror asim. We've seen this before. We've seen many titles. They've come out, then they've flopped. What makes this game any different? Well, today we're going to be talking exactly what this game has to offer compared to your other typical ASIMs you may be playing now or have previously played. So without further ado, let's just hop right into it. What is TCM? Well, simplest way to put it, it's a 4 versus 3 asymmetrical with a family side having an AI assistance in the form of Grandpa. We're gonna put a little discussion on him a little bit later, but technically we're looking at a 4v4. And the family's job is to stop the 4 victims that are currently hanging up in their basement. While the victim's job is simply, as you would think, escape. Yes, you're thinking, wow, Panda, an asymmetrical game where survivors have to escape? No one's ever done that before.
Job so far.
Okay, now listen, Hater Hank. All right, I get it. You're not sold yet, but let me tell you, you're not just fixing generators. You're not just trying to go to that one exit door. This is a different experience. You got not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 alternative exits per map, typically to escape. Now I say typically because we will be talking about a problematic escape that is currently in the game, but we'll get back to that later. But there is 4 separate exits in total that you have to choose from to kind of shake up your experience each time you're on these same maps. The first one we're going to be talking about is the fuse box. Now, simply put, gotta find the fuse box. There's about 3 different locations on the map, on each map, and maybe about 3 or 4 for the fuse. You have the lockpick tool, you open up the fuse box, put the fuse in, do a little math to color matching equation. Very, very simple. You'll get it pretty quickly. We'll have some footage on screen showing that as well. And once you do that, boom, it's powered. You can escape. It's really just that simple. Second off, we're going to be talking about the valve escape. Now this one, very similar in nature to the fuse box. Simply, you gotta locate where a valve handle is on the map. Again, I believe there should be 3 different spots on the map in total where you can find them. Bring it back to the pressure valve, put that sucker in, and you just gotta crank the shit out of it, and boom, pressure starts going into it. Now, I will note, the family members will get a warning when the pressure's being built up, so it does give them a chance to try to shut it off. Which we'll talk a little bit more on the fuse box again later on some issues, as, again, explaining there is some counterplay to this, but as for the fuse box, not so much. And that's where there can be a little bit of problems. So, after you essentially get your pressure valve to be fully maxed out on the power, you'll hear a nice little train whistle go, and you know the doors are open, and you can go and escape. But keep in mind, for both the fuse box door and the pressure valve doors, they only stay open for a limited amount of time, so you gotta move fast. You gotta learn the maps, figure out where they're going. But once you do, and that just simply comes from playtime, there is also a perk in the game that is a starter perk on all of the victims that will show you exactly where an objective exit is in regards to a objective item that you have used. So very quickly you should be able to learn where to go. The final 2 exits we're going to talk about are the battery and the generator escapes. Both very similar in nature, both powering up electrical fences that are all locked behind other locked doors and or fences. So it's not just a simple run up the stairs and oh, there they are. No, they're usually hidden and protected beyond 2 different locked doors. One being the actual escape door, and one being a simple door to get to that path. Because, you gotta give the family some chance, right? These exits are as simple as just getting to the location, turning the item off, making sure everything is unlocked, and you're home free. No puzzles, no waiting, you just do it and you're out. However, do note, when you do try to escape through them, the family will get a warning once you turn them off. So the best tip I can give you is make sure you have those gates unlocked, because if you don't have those gates unlocked, and a family member hears that little battery sound or that little generator turning off sound, they're gonna be beelining it right for you. So definitely make sure you have everything unlocked and ready to just run out immediately. The next point we're going to talk about is how TCM focuses heavily on vocal communication, and most prominently on the family side for sure. As solid communication between family members can make a massive difference between winning or losing, but can also be very handy on the victim side as well. Essentially for victim side, you're saying, hey man, I got the battery off, we're ready to go, head out back that way, or hey, I got the valve handle, I'm gonna start doing the valve, get ready on that door. Simple communication like that. Whereas family can say, hey, there's a Connie over here right by the barn, right by me, and they can use their power. It's a little middle mouse click if you're on PC, and simply you can see where your teammates are, where the objectives are. It can also help you just learn the map as in general, or teach it to others. Some family members even have tracking abilities and aura reading abilities that can also help with assisting in communication with the team. If you have a cook, he can make simple callouts, exact pinpoints of where players are. And without vocal communication, and you're playing alone with brand new players or just people you don't know, you're gonna have a lot of trouble without being able to talk to them. It can also make it more difficult if your Johnny or your cook are not making callouts and they're simply sitting in silence, almost nullifying the point of their power in the first place. The last character I want to talk a little bit more in depth about is Grandpa. Now, Grandpa plays a huge role in almost the flow of the match, and he can pretty much change how things are going to go, depending on how much blood you feed him. Now, Grandpa has 5 different levels, each with an increase to his power. The first base level is Grandpa will scream, and any victims caught moving during him screaming will be revealed to the family side for however long that they are currently moving. So if they only move for half a second, they'll only be revealed for half a second. If they're running for the whole duration, they'll be revealed for the whole duration. Levels 2 and 3 on Grandpa, which is 100 blood respectfully for each level up on Grandpa, will have Grandpa screaming more and more frequently disrupting the flow of the match, having victims have to choose whether they want to stay still to remain hidden, or if they want to continue to rush what they're doing. With rank 4 and 5 being even stronger than that. Again, more frequency to the screams, but level 4 allows Grandpa to detect people in shadows a lot easier if they're hiding in darker areas. Where 5, when he is at his maximum power, and this is where the strength really comes in, it does not matter how badly those victims want to hide. They are indefinitely revealed for the entire duration of the freaking screams. The family having this constant knowledge of where you are at all times is incredibly strong. It can have them completely shut down any plans you might have because they already see what you're going to be doing before you are even able to do it. You might be asking yourself, Panda, Grandpa sounds insane. How can I even stop this old man from seeing me? Well, you may have to pay Grandpa a few visits with some bone shards, which are located on the map and allow you to not only stab Grandpa, but also stab family members, get into little close encounters with them, or even backstab and surprise them. And every time that you stab Grandpa, he goes down 1 full level. Not only that, he's immobilized for a short time and is unable to scream and detect you as well. And additionally, there are perks in the game that allow your Grandpa stabs to be even more effective. One at rank 3 even lets you bring him down by 4 levels, which is insane, because it does take a while for the family to get him up at that level of crazy power. So now that you have the rundown of what Texas Chainsaw has to offer, I'm going to talk about some things that I feel need some changing, some bug fixes, anything I've just noticed from my general personal experience playing the game so far. I'm going to start off with talking about points related to the exits. Now the first part of that is, should the battery start on the same as the generator does? And thankfully, incoming this new patch, it will be. In fact, both generator and the battery will be starting on, saving the family much more time to be able to set up early on in the match. My next point is specifically for the gas station map. There is a 5th exit. I know I did say there was only 4, but there is a 5th one that is only exclusive to the gas station. It is a back door located on the same side as the generator side. And all you need to do is walk up to this door and lockpick it like any other door, and you're out. The family gets no warning. The only real counterplay is to simply guard this door and hope for the best. I've had multiple matches where Connie players simply grab 2 lockpick tools, unlock one gate, unlock this back door, and they're out in less than 1 minute before the family could even set up. And that's even going back to the battery issue, where battery off, there was no one there to even defend it. Currently, the only way in the game for the family to slow this down is by having a cook lock both gates with his padlocks. But here's to hoping that they may implement a change in the future that may slow this exit down and or remove this exit entirely. The last exit related point I want to talk about relates with Hitchhiker. Now, Hitchhiker's able to place his traps in front of fuse boxes, different doors. He can put it just about anywhere. But there's one spot that he can't put it on, and that's in front of the valve. More specifically, the pressure valve, not the valve handles, to have any confusion. This is such a weird, strange thing to have in the game. Why can't he place the trap in front of that? Why can't he slow things down? It's very confusing why he can do that to other things, but not the valve. I feel like at this point, especially with valve being a more problematic quick escape currently, this is a change that I feel like needs to be in the game for sure. To add more context to the Hitchhiker's traps if you're unfamiliar with them, work very similar to bear traps from Dead by Daylight, where they can still be disarmed, but in this game, the victims require a bone scrap or a perk to disable them. Doesn't take them very long, and the Hitchhiker can simply reset them again or pick them back up if he wants to move them. Another point relating to Hitchhiker's traps is a bit of a bug in the game, which thankfully, as our previous battery discussion, is another point being addressed by the developers. The Hitchhiker can currently place his trap right at the top of a ladder, and if a victim is to fall and snare into it, they get bugged for the entire match, and they're unable to use crawl spaces. They can't use the wells. It just completely destroys any function they can do, and it was huge, absolutely destroyed a match experience for you if it happened to you. So I'm very glad to see that the developers are addressing this. The next character on the list is Sissy. Now, Sissy, I believe, is suffering from a bit of a bug that's applying her poison to her basic attacks, and she can chain swing and constantly be disorienting and slowing victim players' movements to the point that if Sissy's on you, it is very unlikely that you're going to be escaping. This is incredibly oppressive, and I really hope it is not intended, because if it is, it definitely needs a change. This next point is going to kind of drag a little bit of inspiration from Gun's previous installation, Friday the 13th. Wall cracks. Wall cracks are a bit problematic, I feel. They are a good thing to have in the game for sure, but the ability for a victim to constantly be jumping through the same wall crack and having 3 out of 5 family members unable to do anything about it, it can be a little oppressive sometimes. Some people in the comments might be saying, well, Panda, that's the point. They're supposed to be strong. You're supposed to get 2 family members to coordinate on each side to stop them from doing so. And yes, that may be true, and I do agree with you. However, this will get into a point I'll be talking about next. But the main part is, why am I comparing Friday the 13th to this game? And more specifically, this situation. The windows. Jason used to be able to break the windows and leave just glass shards behind, so if a victim was to jump through the window and constantly want to try to use the same window, they would slowly be taking a little bit of points of damage. And that's where we go to the wall cracks. Bubba has the ability to put his chainsaw through the crack, but that's just to try to take a little bit of damage off players, and most times out of 10, it usually doesn't work too well. However, Bubba's main point is to be able to break barriers. Now, I don't believe that he should be able to break the wall cracks, but in similar fashion to Jason, perhaps maybe damage these wall cracks, maybe leaving sharp edges to create a little bit of punishing damage if the victims choose to considerably use these same cracks over and over. I do like this idea, but I can't take credit on this full idea as it's not entirely my idea. It is a friend of mine's who we had a little bit of a discussion about it. But what do you think? Do you think wall cracks should be changed, or do you think that they are balanced as they are? I'd like to see a little change on them, but I don't think they're fully oppressive or really something that the developers really need to address at this very moment. Coming up on the final 2 points I'd like to talk a little bit more about, the first point I want to talk about is the victim rush meta. Now, you're probably wondering, what am I labeling this exactly? Simply put, it's just how fast victims are seemingly able to escape on some maps depending on how fast and coordinate they're working. Usually Fuse Escape or the Valve Escape are the two most notorious for creating these fast escapes. And I feel like there could be some things that maybe could be done to either both of those escapes to maybe make it longer, or simply put, just implementing something that could just slow things down just a little bit. Because being unable to do anything and having people escape in under 2 minutes, it can leave a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth. This brings us to our final point in relation to the victim rush meta, Bubba's Basement. The 4 victims and Bubba start in the basement together. However, the victims start a little bit ahead of the family members as their cutscene is shorter and allows them to get out of their binds before the family are even out of their cutscene. This can cause a little bit of issues, and I feel like stems a bit to the whole rush meta that I was discussing. Victims are able to get upstairs with the doors unlocked before family members are even able to get out of their cutscene, let alone do any form of setup of defenses. With this in mind, I feel a healthy change to the game would perhaps making both cutscenes end at the same time, giving both sides an optimal chance to catch up with each other a little bit more, as well as reducing some of the clutter in the basement to at least make Bubba a bit more of a looming presence over the players as opposed to a guy in a cutscene while they're already upstairs. Mind you, of course, this doesn't happen every single match, but it has happened quite frequently in matches I've played. Rounding things off, there's 2 things I would love to see Gun add to the game. Number 1, a stronger anti-cheat system. Now, once again, coming in clutch, next patch we will be receiving some improvements, and I really do hope to see that those improvements actually do work, because the last ones weren't too effective, unfortunately. But here's to hoping for the next strong patch. And lastly, and this is the one I want the most, a ping system. Similar to Video Horror Society that had an excellent ping system incorporated to players who didn't wish to communicate through voice, this would help immensely to a game that has so much just pressure for people to be talking. And I know, some gamers just don't like to talk. People have social anxiety, even myself. I struggle to talk some days, and a ping system would do wonders to helping players. Before we get to the final rating and the last final thoughts of the game, there's one last point I want to talk about. That would be the skill tree system and the respec system that comes along with it. As you play the game further, you'll receive skill points that you can put into the skill tree to gain perks, points towards leveling up your characters even stronger, simply customizing them to fit your playstyle. This applies to both family and victim side of the game. Not only accompanied by the skill tree system, each character also has their own unique power, both victim and family. To add even more bang for your buck on your playtime, you can also level up your power up to a maximum of level 3 on each character. Each levels 1, 2, and 3 having different augments to suit your playstyle. Level 3 being very strong upgrades and well worth your time. And finally, what you've been waiting for. What is my overall rating for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I give TCM a solid 8 out of 10. Now, it's had a very solid release, I would say, compared to most games. It has had its issues for sure. Release time, having a client credential crash, but the developers were pretty quick to fixing that, so I don't want to penalize them on that too bad. And as for the cheaters, it's still a work in progress. That can definitely deter you from wanting to play the game, but it's still not bad. And overall, it's a very fun experience, played alongside with friends. It still offers a fun solo queue experience, at least due to voice chat, which brings us back to the ping system. I really strongly believe this game needs that ping system because that will give so much more communication It'll make solo queue a lot easier, so if you're not playing with friends and you're shy, you don't want to talk, it still gives you an option. So right now, giving something to fix that would definitely raise up the overall rating for sure. I also believe once a few more balance changes come out that the game can definitely benefit from in a stronger cheat system. I would easily put the rating up to almost a 9 to even 9.5. And with more planned content on the horizon, there's only going to be even more for us to enjoy. That about does it for this video though. I really appreciate you guys watching fully through if you made it this far. And I hope you guys enjoyed the review, enjoyed some of the discussion points, maybe you agree or disagree with some of the points I make. Definitely feel free to let me know in the comments below. As for anything I discuss on this channel or my Twitch channel, they're all my opinions, and you could definitely have a differing one, and that's okay too. I still love to hear what you have to say. As always, thank you so much for watching. Take care, have yourself a good rest of your morning, afternoon, night, whatever time you might be watching this video at, and I will see you all in the next one. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you all soon.